Guys, in this video I'm going to be talking about using our architectural markers. So in the architectural supply cabinet we have two different kinds of markers that we're going to be using, and you guys are going to do first the cover page for your sketchbook. You're going to use architectural markers to do. So here's some useful tips. Whenever you're coloring a sketch or a rendering, you want to start with items in the center and then work your way out. That will help you avoid smudging with your hand. These markers are intended to bleed, so if you are intended to blend, excuse me. So if you smudge with your hand, they're going to smudge a lot. So make sure you kind of have a game plan. To avoid like the streaky marker look, if you do slower, denser strokes or go back over an area again in the opposite direction, that will help it blend nicely. And like I said, these markers are intended to blend, so if you don't want them to blend, let a section dry before you use another color next to it so that they don't bleed together. And then have a game plan. So if you have an idea of the colors you want to use and where you want shadows and highlights to appear, that's just going to make it easier and you're going to avoid unwanted bleeding or blending that you don't want. So here's a video to kind of show some blending ideas. So you can start with a light color and then take a darker shade of that same color and go over it again. So this is to create kind of shading with markers, okay? And again, this is just giving it, and then if you use the base color on the edge, that'll kind of help it blend together. Or you can do dark then light, so you can create the shadow first and then go over it with the lighter color to kind of, again, create shading with markers. Again, they're intended to blend, so you're kind of doing this while they're still wet, and then they'll blend together nicely. You can also just do the same color and then do it in layers. So they're using kind of that lighter purple again to start filling the whole area, and then they're gonna go over the area they want shaded. Again, they're going to let it dry for just a second before they do that, and then go over just part of the area again to create the shadow they want. This one is a little less drastic, so kind of depending on the look that you want, you can kind of compare those three and see which one you'd like more. Another really cool thing to add kind of dimension to your colored rendering is something called highlights. Using a lighter colored pencil such as white. So this was actually colored with markers, but then white colored pencil was used on like the window panes to show like reflection. And there was some gray colored pencils used on the roof over the top of the markers just to give it a little bit more dimension, like I said, and it shows the highlights a little easier when you have colored pencil over the top of the marker. Again, the markers were dry before using the colored pencil. We also have a blender marker that bleaches the color. I'm going to tell you it doesn't work super great, especially when multiple people have used it on different colors. So the colored pencils are a great way to lighten things or to add highlights to images. To make your drawings look more realistic when you're thinking about colors, the lightest part of the sky is always the horizon, and then it gets darker as you move away from the horizon. Buildings should be neutral in tone, like grays, beiges, browns, those kinds of things. And then the color comes from like the landscape and the objects around it, or like the sky, those kinds of things. Also, objects like people, cars, animals can add color to your image. And then shading, so that you just saw some different techniques to do that with markers. Shading just makes things look realistic. So choose a point where you want the light to come from so that you kind of know where the shading should occur in your image. As far as the markers you guys get to use, we have two different kinds. There's Chartpak and then Prismacolor. These are used by artists and architects, so they are expensive. They're high quality, so please be respectful of your chance to work with them. If you find a marker that's dead, right now you guys are going to be giving it to Miss Breeding, but when I'm back you'll be giving it to me. Basically, I just need to know so I can order replacement ones. So don't just throw them away. Please give them to the teacher so that we know which ones we need to reorder and replace. All right, and we do have some backup markers in the supply closet already, so if you do run out of a color, we might have a backup already to go for you, so just let us know and we can get you a new one. So what you guys are going to do for your sketchbook is you are going to create, so there are a bunch of these geometric images printed for you. You can pick which one you want to use. I'm also going to link this on Google Classroom so you guys can print a different page if you want to. But you're going to pick one of these to color. So this is your chance to kind of practice with the architectural markers. Again, come up with a game plan. let sections dry before you color sections next to it with a different color so they don't bleed together. The other thing is, because the markers do bleed, you guys want to put scratch paper underneath, okay? So underneath your, or in the supply closet, there's a box of scratch paper on the bottom shelf. Make sure you put scratch paper underneath when you are using the markers. And then on your cover sheet, you're gonna put your name, architectural graphics, and then the period. So we are in architecture black 2, so make sure you put that on there as well. All right, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching.